Right now, on to the point. Tahoe's power source in flux.
I need help from the state of California.
A community sounding the alarm as their utility company races to replace most of its energy supply. Healthcare advocates pushing back against Governor Newsom's proposed cuts. A look at what's on the chopping block. The last planned oil shipment to California has arrived. As the war in Iran continues to disrupt a major global shipping route, while experts warn relief may still be months away.
Yeah, I feel like a mountain man.
And Bartell's Backroads takes us to a place where the rough mountain world is still alive. Where will the Lake Tahoe area get its electricity? As always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. That is the question, as the region's electricity unit says that its current source will no longer provide energy starting in 2028. ABC 10's Becca Habegger has been looking into the power struggle and joins us in studio now.
Yeah, Alex, Liberty Utilities delivers electricity to nearly 50,000 California customers in the Tahoe Basin and surrounding areas, including the ski resorts. But earlier this year, Liberty informed regulators it has less than 2 years to find a new wholesale provider.
Tahoe is known for its natural beauty and great outdoors, but visitors and locals alike rely on electricity to live, work, stay, and play here. That's where Liberty Utilities comes in. It provides power to nearly 50,000 customers in a service area spanning parts of 7 counties.
80% of that is the California portion of the Tahoe Basin.
Danielle Hughes lives on North Lake Tahoe just outside Kings Beach and is a Liberty customer. But soon her power will come from a different source. Currently, Liberty gets most of its electricity from NV Energy out of Nevada. But earlier this year, Liberty informed the California Public Utilities Commission, CPUC, that NV Energy will no longer be its wholesale provider starting in 2028. Hughes worries the switch could drive up costs, disproportionately impacting the working class people who live here year-round. She is the CEO of Tahoe Spark, a newly formed independent advocacy organization working to keep Liberty customers' costs affordable.
I have a forecaster that's actually expecting with this emergency procurement that we're going to be up to 60 cents per kilowatt hour, which will be the highest in the country.
A Liberty spokesperson pointed ABC 10 to an FAQ document on its website, which says, while no utility can predict the exact future cost of energy, affordability is a primary goal in this search. But Liberty can't just turn to a California provider like PG&E. That's because the Tahoe area's electrical grid is physically connected to Nevada. With Liberty's rates overseen by California regulators, this makes for a complicated matter.
I need help from the state of California to figure out the policy issues, figure out how to create more resiliency within my system here in California, not in Nevada.
NV Energy tells ABC 10 its partnership with Liberty was never meant to be permanent, that this transition was NV Energy's plan for years. But other reports have linked the move to the explosive growth of data centers in northern Nevada. NV Energy flatly denies that, saying on its website in a post entitled Setting the Record Straight, the decision for Liberty to move to its own power supply is based on long-standing agreements well before data center growth became a factor. Data centers did not influence this decision. The CPUC tells ABC 10 in filings, Liberty said the data center demand did play a role in timing. Regardless, it's worth noting the increasing energy demand that a growing number of data centers is putting on northern Nevada, which has more than 30 data centers with additional projects underway. That's according to a new report out from Nevada's nonprofit Desert Research Institute, calling Nevada one of the fastest growing data center regions in the U.S. NV Energy is currently building a transmission line between Vegas and Reno called GreenLink West. Once it's complete by the start of 2028, Liberty will switch over to new energy sources.
Liberty says it expects to open a formal competitive bidding process this summer in the search for a new electricity provider. The CPUC has to approve Liberty's new supplier or suppliers. The switchover is expected to happen at the very end of 2027. Alex?
The June primary is nearly 2 weeks away, and voters are already handing in their ballots. Drop-off locations opened on May 5th. And according to tracking from Political Data Intelligence, 3% of primary ballots have been returned so far, the most coming from Democrats and older white males.
The traditional early turnout is establishment, homeowners, people who are frequent voters, people who are more affluent, people who check the mail. And when you look at that population, it ends up being a lot older, wider, oftentimes more conservative. While Democrats have been fretting over the possibility that two Republicans can make the runoff, a lot of Republicans have been getting motivated by this.
Mitchell says he expects about a 35% voter turnout, as gubernatorial primaries are typically the lowest turnout in statewide elections. People living in rural areas and want to vote by mail, they are encouraged to vote early. And if you've already voted and you want to know where your ballot is, you can definitely track it. You can receive updates on the status of your ballot by Vote by Mail ballot by starting to sign up through the Secretary of State's website. It's that address that you see on your screen right there, where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov. And also, we want to let you know that there are some key dates to keep in mind. You might actually want to take a picture of this. May 18th is the last day to register to vote in the June primary. But if you do miss that deadline, same-day registration is available between May 19th and June 2nd. May 23rd is when vote centers open for early in-person voting. June 2nd is, of course, Election Day. We've been talking about it, and polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Also streaming now on our free ABC 10 streaming app. I sat down with the leading candidates running in the California governor's race about their vision for the state. You can find that program on the home screen. The war in Iran is disrupting a major oil shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz, pushing gas prices higher and also raising some concerns about supplies. A tanker arrived at the port of Long Beach this month carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil. That is the last planned shipment for the California market to pass through the Strait of Hormuz since before the war began. Experts say California is still getting oil from other sources, but they warn the global market has lost a significant share of supply. The average cost for a gallon of regular gas in California now sitting at over $6 a gallon, and prices could climb even further if this conflict drags on.
The problem is that the world has lost somewhere between 10 and 15% of the world's supply, and that means prices are going up everywhere.
Experts say that even if the war were to end today, it would still take months for the global market to stabilize and get prior crude oil prices before the start of the conflict, something we'll continue to watch for you. All right, Governor Newsom's record-breaking budget comes with tough health care cuts, while some Medi-Cal changes are sparking backlash. And then, of course, we have Backroads. It's Friday. We're stepping back into the Wild West, where the mountain man spirit is definitely still alive.
And we've been talking about the weekend winds for several days now. Here we go. Red flag warning. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Some public safety power shutoffs likely as well. I've got a full look at the forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight.
We're going to get the mission done no matter what.
Sacramento has a new interim police chief. Deputy Chief Zachary Bales was sworn in today following Police Chief Kathy Lester's retirement. Bales has been with the department since 2002. His focus will be on maintaining stability in the department during the transition. Harvey Weinstein's rape retrial ended in a mistrial. A judge declared it today after the jury deadlocked. The former Hollywood mogul has been convicted of other sex crimes in California and New York and remains in prison. The mistrial leaves the New York rape charge in limbo after 3 trials. And Starbucks is laying off dozens of corporate workers. That's according to a notice it sent to the Washington State Employment Security Department. It says the job losses are due to reorganization. The news follows an announcement in September that the chain was closing hundreds of its coffee shops. All right, I do want to get things straight over to our meteorologist, Brenda Minchef, because you are tracking, obviously, a weather impact alert, but really for fire danger. So people need to be paying attention to this because this could potentially be very serious.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first red flag warning we've had this year. This season, fire season is here, and this is for all of us in the valley and through the delta. Sustained winds this weekend, 20 to 30 miles per hour. Valley and delta wind gusts are going to be 35 to 50 miles per hour, with daytime relative humidity 7 to 15%. So very strong winds, very dry air. Weather impact alert through Monday. Because of the high fire danger, avoid sparks and open flames. Make sure you have your go bags packed and ready to go. Power outages, both planned and unplanned, are likely to happen this weekend. Planned outages, of course, that means we're talking about public safety power shutoffs. Portions of all of these counties are likely to see some public safety power shutoffs. We're not talking about county-wide outages. I'm not talking about Woodland or West Sacramento or Stockton being without power. with the PSPS. That's not what I'm saying, but portions of Tahoe, Glen, Colusa, especially along and west of I-5, same story, down through San Joaquin and Stanislaus County, down through Merced, portions along and west of I-5, likely to see some PSPS through the weekend. You can check PG&E's website for those exact locations. Temperature-wise, it's going to be pretty mild to seasonal this weekend. Saturday morning starts off in those mid-50s, 60s in the Sacramento Valley as those north winds pick up, but we were 91 today. I've got us in the low 80s tomorrow across most of the valley, but remember that fire danger is all because of the wind. 83 Saturday, 81 on Sunday. The strongest winds are going to be through Sunday. So through tonight and tomorrow morning, we start to see those north winds picking up. They overspread the valley as we go through lunchtime and through the afternoon. Widespread gusts of 25 to 35 miles per hour tomorrow. But the winds really get turned up another notch as we go into Sunday. Valley wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. I mean, look at this. This is basically lunchtime Sunday. We're looking at 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts in and around the Sacramento metro area. Winds will be ripping on Sunday all day long from sun up to sundown. We'll see a little bit of a shift in the winds from northwest to northeast as Sunday goes on, but really we're not going to see those winds start to lighten up at all until we go into the overnight period Sunday. But it's only a brief period of some lighter winds because winds will pick up again into Monday morning, especially on the west side of the valley. And remember, we're talking about some very dry air as well. Relative humidity near 12% on Saturday and in the single digits on Sunday. So weather impact alert through Monday because of the fire danger, and those winds pick up tomorrow and they really gust on Sunday. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, Governor Newsom unveils the largest budget proposal in California history, why the state's improving fiscal outlook is still leading to tough cuts. We'll have more coming up. While Governor Newsom proposed a positive fiscal outlook for the state budget yesterday, some advocates are taking issue with cuts the governor is making to balance the budget. It's the most expensive budget in state history, with some of the biggest cuts to health care programs, too. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh explains.
So we are balancing not just for the next fiscal year, which ends July of next year, but we're balancing for another year.
A near $350 billion budget proposal by Governor Newsom, the largest in California history. In updated numbers, Newsom says the state will no longer have a budget deficit in 2026 to 2027, as well as 2027 to 2028.
No big, new, ongoing investments. We can't afford to do that right now.
A mix of factors is behind the new fiscal outlook: higher than expected state income tax revenue, largely due to the AI boom and stock market gains, as well as revenue via additional taxes. But there are also multiple cuts on health care, especially to undocumented immigrants, a population Newsom has expanded Medi-Cal to.
It's pretty unconscionable.
The problem is that the cuts he's choosing to make end up just compounding the effects of the federal cuts because he's targeting the same populations.
There are some new investments, like $300 million for Covered California, the state's insurance marketplace, but also cuts largely due to the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Newsom unveiling plans to raise Medi-Cal premiums for undocumented immigrants from the scheduled rise from $0 to $30 to $50 instead.
Life is not cheap in California. It's going to kick people off.
Newsom also proposing switching certain undocumented populations to fee-for-service health care, which could make accessing certain care more difficult.
So if we were to keep them in the managed care system, we would not receive the federal reimbursements, which would be a lot more money that the state would lose.
These cuts on top of reductions Newsom proposed in January, like work requirements and twice-a-year renewals for those utilizing just state, not federal dollars.
Not required for California to extend the new federal eligibility requirements to these state-funded populations, the way that he is essentially abandoning his legacy to really championing healthcare access for everyone.
Newsom's response?
We had to deal with reality, deal with the cards that are dealt. We have universal health care in this country, regardless of pre-existing condition, ability to pay, and regardless of immigration status. We have it. It's called the emergency room. And we're paying on the back end sick care. I believe in universal health care.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
Coming up, John Bartel takes us to a rendezvous in the mountains featuring tomahawk throwing. Well, you never know what you'll see on the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel heads to the Sierra foothills for a Mountain Man rendezvous where history isn't just remembered, it's recreated one rifle shot and one tomahawk throw at a time.
Before there were highways, before there were towns, there were mountain men. Back in the early 1800s, these rugged trappers would spend months, sometimes years, alone in the wilderness, hunting beaver, exploring new land, and surviving off the grid. Then, once a year, they'd all come together for something called a rendezvous.
Oh, it was wild. It was real wild. If you've ever seen the movie Mountain Man with Charlton Heston, they've got a rendezvous in there, and that's almost dead on.
A rendezvous was part trading post, part party. Trappers would swap furs for money, supplies, and of course, whiskey.
They would bring in free whiskey. And when you haven't seen whiskey for many, many months, you do a lot of drinking. In fact, it could be 2 weeks of a drunk.
Fast forward to today, and the rough mountain man world is still alive at the Sonora Smoke Pullers Rendezvous in Chinese Camp, California.
And what you're going to need to do is pull the hammer back.
Okay. These days, there's not a whole lot of whiskey around, but this event is all about stepping back into time to compete in various events, like black powder rifle shooting.
You got it.
There we go. Yeah, I feel like a mountain man.
And then there's the tomahawk and knife throwing, which, let's say, looks a lot easier than it is. Now, don't worry if you're throwing just as bad as I am, because there's plenty of helpful and not so helpful advice.
My wife can throw better than that.
But that's part of the fun. There's a little friendly hazing that comes with the territory.
Easy throw.
I mean, they do everything. They'd have shooting contests, hawk and knife, throwing, just giving each other a hard time and enjoying every bit of it.
And just like the original gatherings, it's more than a competition. It's about living the lifestyle. Everyone here dresses the part in 1800s-style buckskin handmade gear. They even have nicknames.
I do have a rendezvous name.
Okay.
It's called Firebeard.
How does one get the nickname Firebeard, you ask? Well, getting too close to a fire, of course.
I mean, I'm doing this to get it out.
Hence the name Firebeard.
Firebeard, yep.
Staying in character is a big part of the event.
You kind of feel like you fit in by getting dressed up, and you kind of feel like part of that mountain man period.
Back in the day, mountain men weren't just trappers, they were explorers. They helped open up the West by guiding settlers to places like California and Oregon.
Like the Oregon Trail. They became wagon train guides. They would also do a lot of expeditions.
They followed rivers, crossed mountains, and always chased what was over the next hill. And today, that same free spirit is what keeps people coming back.
Live their life the way they wanted to. There was no laws they had to stick to or what civilization wanted them to do. They did what they wanted.
From the Sonora Smoke Pullers Rendezvous, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And to find more Bartel's Backroads destinations, just head over to our ABC 10 TV streaming app. Go under the Shows tab, scroll down to Travel, and you will see Mr. Bartel right there. That app is completely free to download straight to your TV. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you on Monday.